Pujara in meditation mode continuing. He's going strong. It's lunch on day 2 of this 4th and final test at the Sydney Cricket Ground, and with each session India continue to assert themselves. They can call the shots, they can dictate terms. They are now 389 for 5, 181 not out. Cheteshwar Pujara, thankfully for Australia, at least Nathan Lyon, even though he didn't feel it, got a wicket of Hanuma Vihari, the only success in this session. On ESPN Cricinfo Matchday, I am Raunak Kapoor, presented by Maruti Suzuki. That's ESPN Cricinfo Matchday, presented by Maruti Suzuki. Ajit Agarkar, Sanjay Manjrekar, rise and shine in the morning.
Always have to get the sponsor's name right and everything, otherwise.
And I am not presented, even though I do drive a lovely Maruti Suzuki, so that's my
nice
makeup
car,
for, yes, absolutely. And Damien Martyn is there in Sydney, so it's hello to say, time to say hello to Damien.
I'm still waiting for my car to be delivered.
Oh no, but I'll tell you someone who goes on and on, much like Maruti in these parts of the world. That's Cheteshwar Pujara. The mileage just doesn't end. Keeps batting, keeps batting, keeps batting, and I don't know what the Australians will be telling themselves right now, Damien.
They're looking for the end of the test match, I think. So let's get the one-day start or some other game where there's no red ball and facing Pujara. I mean, Sanjay had it right, didn't he? He's going to make 200 or maybe 300. He's going to keep batting. Doesn't look like getting out at the moment. And you can just see the bowling now, isn't it? They're starting to die off now. It's hot. A lot of overs. Nathan Lyon, 38 overs, 27, 28 for the quicks. It's going to be a long afternoon, I feel.
I'll let Sanjay Manjrekar exhibit more humility like he normally does because of his Fab 4 picks, and he's the only one to pick Pujara.
Yeah, only because of paucity of time will Pujara not be able to get a 300, because 300 is matter of course. You know, when he finds a flat pitch, he ends up getting 300. He's done it 3 or 4 times in his career, so there you go.
So otherwise, he's looking good for a 4th double now, Ajit.
Yeah, just 19 runs.
They're comfortable. I think 51 runs in the session by himself. So you can see the bowlers. There's nothing on offer.
Yeah.
Looks like a typical Indian pitch at the moment. Just dead. A little bit of bounce, maybe a little bit more bounce than what you get on an Indian pitch, but friendly bounce. So, and he'll make it count. He's one of those guys. And you know, ironically, he was the guy who was left out last time India played in Sydney.
Yes.
And Rohit Sharma batted up the order, and he's winning Virat Kohli a series.
Yeah, this pitch is like the non-resident Indian.
I'm
not residing in India, but an Indian pitch residing in Sydney.
And I must say, for all the talk around drop-in pitches and the lack of luster that they have, for this to be the only original pitch in the country, Damien, maybe we're missing the drop-in pitches now that get average ratings by the governing body.
Yeah, that's the only ones we win now, isn't it? The drop-in pitch. So I think we change it next year. Whenever India tour again, we're going back to drop-ins at the SCG.
But it might make the game more interesting, because India will also maybe not find wickets coming that easily, and that's why in hindsight now you feel Kuldeep Yadav's inclusion is an interesting one, because he can be the X factor on a pitch like this.
We've already spoken of Bumrah being possibly the X factor, but you must sympathise for bowlers, I guess, at some point now. It's been a tired, long series. Australia played the same 3 pacers through the course, and this pitch is not helping. What do you do as a bowler right now? Do you just wait for things to happen?
Yeah, I don't think Pujara is letting that happen anyway. Yeah. So, you can't do much. I mean, yesterday was an opportunity loss, maybe in that first session where they could have bowled a little bit better. Maybe got 2 or 3 in that first session, would have made life a little bit easier. Once that, once Pujara batted that first 2 sessions, it was always going to be difficult.
In the morning, it seemed a little quicker when Hazelwood was
little bit. Maybe bowlers were a bit fresher.
Bowlers
were a bit fresher, newer ball.
Could it also be because now India found batsmen who are able to defend, like Pujara, Hanuma Vihari as well, that the pitch is looking a lot better than it is? Or what is your reading as a bowler? Just watching the ball behave on the pitch and forget about what the batsman is doing.
It's so difficult to get people out bowling up at the moment. Unless you're a Waqar Yunus or somebody who's just going to go quick through the air. Mitchell Starc has that ability, just hasn't found that sort of bowling form. And just bowling length, like Sanjay said, guys who are defending all the time, it's so difficult. Unless you're trying to go after the bowlers, then you might create an opportunity. These guys just
feeling that Hanuma Vihari is somebody who wants to become Pujara in the future.
You see that?
मैं बड़ा होके Pujara बनना चाहता हूँ.
But in all seriousness, you see that as someone
similar school of thought. Have a very calm demeanor, straight bat, happy defending. So. Who knows?
Yeah, and he looks not top 3 for you. You've said that for a while, even though he didn't quite get...
Ajit Agarkar doesn't agree, but...
3 maybe. Open, I'm not so sure.
There's a big difference.
And
Pujara
also, as
we've be coming in anyway.
And also, we've been saying that I think we'll see a resurgence of defensive batsmen, and Hanuma Vihari could be one of those many batsmen around the world that we'll see grafting their way to Test runs
to
and
speak a
stuff.
little more of this pitch and where this game stands, and if you're just looking at the scorecard waking up on the second day of this test, and it is hard work for the bowlers. But Damien, you had a curator who said there's going to be something in this for everyone. There's going to be a bit of carry on the first day. It'll turn and whatnot as the test goes on. Is there a slight selection error that there are 4 bowlers only from both teams? Could there have been a case for an extra bowler given how flat this pitch is, or is that just a gamble to take?
Well, a few things there. I think the curators at the moment, I'm not sure whether we take their advice. The Perth one said definitely bowl first, and that didn't work out. So, I mean, and this one, look, I think it's one of those wickets. I mean, we have varying wickets at the SCG. From the Australian point of view, I don't know whether we could bolster our bowling anymore because our batting has been a struggle as well. We're caught in both situations. Do we have more batsmen, less bowling, or which way do we go? At the moment, I think in all departments we just haven't been good enough. In a 5-day test match and over the whole series, India just outplayed us in all departments.
Let's talk about that.
And also, just a quick point: never ask the curator about the pitch. It's like asking a parent about their child, and the parent is a good boy, well behaved, and is a drug addict. That the world knows, but the parent doesn't know. So that's the kind of thing. There's a lot of bias when you ask curators about the pitch.
Okay, but maybe we should go back to curators after the test match, which is not something we tend to do.
Yeah, actually, I'm very serious because they'll always tell you that it's a good pitch. The test match India-Australia, Damien would remember, finished in 2 days and 11 overs, and the curator there was saying that this is a pretty good pitch and will start turning on day 3. Yeah. And I remember looking at the pitch and thinking that the moment the spinners start arriving on the ground, it will start turning. Yeah. They don't even have to bowl. It was such a rank turner where Michael Clark got 6 for 9.
To be fair, maybe we should stop asking curators about the pitch anyway.
So we should wait till the other team bowls on it.
Of course.
And Australian batting hasn't been great. So that might help India. But I agree with Sanjay. It'll be a little bit tougher for India to get those wickets, but we should wait till the Indian bowlers bowl on it.
But if we have to do a larger discussion on just Australia's bowlers, Damien's made the point that there's not much happening. They've not quite bowled as well as you would have expected. Given this was their strong point, Damien, is this some kind of reflection that will have to happen after this series? It's one thing that they're waiting on Smith and Warner back, but collectively, if a bowling unit with enough pedigree and reputation hasn't been able to trouble India's batting that has struggled in England and in South Africa before, is it time that are there other bowlers that they could look at to bring in and just add a little bit of freshness? You already mentioned you don't like the look of the sound of Peter Siddle at this stage of his career, but what's the assessment of the bowling now at this stage of this series?
Yeah, there's bowling around. I think, look, Stark, as we've mentioned many times, just hasn't seemed to be in it. Look, he's still bowling 145, 147 at the moment, which is quick considering the overs that's happened. But also, let's look at the batting as well. Pujara's just blunted it. He's just said there's nothing, and I think that mentally grinds the bowlers. What's their opportunities? Lyon's done well at times. Cummings had that one innings. Hazelwood's always been there, but I think as a combination, they just haven't been able to break through enough times to change this batting lineup, and I think the stats is just Pujara, isn't it? It's Pujara then Kohli at times, but really the amount of time and balls he's faced has bunted this attack, and the problem now is they make 450 or whatever plus. The Australian batsmen have been in the field all day and all yesterday. They're tired, it's hot, and you come out and you think, well, how are they going to win the Test match? They're really out of the game now, so mentally they're down.
82 balls faced by Cheteshwar Pujara this morning, which continues to get the statisticians busy, and they're all looking at time spent, balls faced, and we'll show you the numbers and the difference it's made. 1,217 balls now is the most deliveries faced by a visiting batsman in Australia. The fact that he's faced them of the likes of Mitchell Starc, Pat Cummins, Josh Hazlewood and Nathan Lyon is quite something.
I'm just amazed that in 1947-48 they were keeping count of the balls faced, because at that time it was more about minutes spent, and in the scorecard you struggle to get balls, but you have balls faced of Vijay Hazare. I mean, that's an incredible performance.
That's by Indians, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, by Indians.
Yeah.
So
and Vijay Hazare, I mean, he would have played all his life on Indian pitches, and to go there as a weak team.
Sure.
India was like minnows at that stage, and go and put.
I think that was the first tour to Australia.
And since '47, India hasn't won a series in Australia. Yeah. And Michael Vaughan has already tweeted saying that India won the series. There's no way Australia can come back in this match.
Is that fair? Do you go with that?
I think so.
One winner only now, unless something miraculous happens.
Yeah, it'll have to be miraculous. But India is still batting. If India were out at the moment, you could say maybe Australia still have enough time if they bat well enough, which we haven't seen in this series. But can't see how Australia is going to win.
Pujara will quicken up with the tail-enders, so.
I think he's going hot and cold. He decides when he wants to be quick, and he's.
But with tail-enders, he quickens up, which is one of the most, pleasant sights in the game when he tries to attack the bowlers, run hard, try and farm the strike. It's just great to see.
Which what makes yesterday's sort of Pujara in the third session that much nicer, because he was doing it with Rane at the other end. So now he's just got into that position where he just feels like hitting and he hits. So this is a man in extreme confidence now, isn't he?
At the peak of
300s in the series, in conditions where not a lot of people backed him to get those 300s.
Yes.
You have to be confident. I mean, there's not been a lot of sideways movement, which has probably troubled the Indians the most in recent times, which helps. And pace, I think generally most Indian batsmen play pace well at the moment. There's not, and it's an easy pace pitch as well, this one. So, but just to grind attacks down.
And that's the thing that we expected in Australia after England, that India would bat better despite their dismal form in England, because the ball tends to come in straight lines in Australia, and India struggle when the ball doesn't come in straight lines. Then some of the batsmen in the Indian team get exposed, but here the ball has been coming straight off the pitch, and hence a much improved batting performance.
I mean, the other thing which is fairly noticeable in this series is Australia haven't got much out of the old ball. Indians have got a lot more out of that old ball, whether it's a worry from what's happened in South Africa and they are just being too nice with it. Sometimes you can only look after the ball. Because Indian did get a little bit of reverse swing a couple of the tests. Australians haven't been managed to do that, and then it makes it difficult with the Kukubra ball.
All right, some fan questions coming our way now, and again we'll hold full judgment on this Sydney pitch until we've seen how Australia have batted on it, and this is a different looking Australian batting lineup with Manas Labuschagne set to take the batting position number 3. But we're still focusing on your questions, and Deepak Agarwal wants to ask Ajit, how relieved is Kohli to see someone else stop scoring in an overseas test
Getting
series?
some very good questions, honestly.
I mean, you needed some support. Sanjay mentioned yesterday, someone else getting a few more runs in England might have changed the course of that series. You've seen here, I mean, Kohli's he's got 100 in this series, got a couple of really good partnerships with Pujara, but
in the only game that India haven't won, so that's the other extraordinary bit. His runs are coming in.
Your number 3 gets 300s in a series, you're always going to be in good shape.
So good. Keep your questions coming, as there are I think more of them, and you're up and about on this Friday morning to follow what's happening in the Sydney Test. It's small steps towards history. Everyone in India knows this, is looking forward to it. A series win, an unprecedented series win in Australia is just at their doorstep. Jahadul Islam asking Sanjay, I think.
Some Maharashtrian friends of mine call me Sanjay. That's Sanjay.
At what point should India declare or pick up the pace?
I think it will happen gradually. It will happen on its own. Rishabh Pant, once he gets settled in the crease, I don't see him slowing down. Pujara, when he feels that he's running out of partners, will start playing quickly. Jadeja will go after the bowling. So it will happen on its own.
All right, thank you, Sanjay. Let's also now have a look. I was waiting. Nathan Lyon is a nice discussion to have too. We've spoken of the faster bowlers, but 38 overs, 2 for 160, not quite the same impact, Damien. I've also been told he's just been announced in Australia's ODI squad for the 3-match series that follows this test. Let's speak a little bit about Nathan Lyon, and we spoke of how his numbers aren't great in Sydney, just the lack of bounce that doesn't quite make Nathan Lyon as effective.
Well, it might seem that way because, I mean, he does, we've seen in previous test matches, if it doesn't turn a lot, he does take the outside edge with that arm ball and bouncing through. So, he's brought up on Australian wicket, so he's probably more natural to that where there is bounce. I mean, Shane Warne used to always love bowling at the whacker too, even though it wasn't a big turner. It was the bounce he got, and he could skid the ball through. Obviously here it's a bit slower, a bit less bounce. Maybe he's been conservative. He's bowled very straight at times. You could always, just the right-handers, I think it's throwing it out there, trying to get into foot marks, enticing that cover drive, trying to spin it back in. I think at times he goes too straight. But it's really a ground that he finds hard to get wickets on, and I suppose he is the only one that probably knows the deep down answer.
Damien, we haven't seen him bowl the arm ball that you just mentioned outside the off-stump, trying to get the batsman on the outside edge. We haven't seen Nathan Lyon try that too much, isn't it?
Yeah, so I wonder, I mean, in Perth, was he doing that more because it was bouncy and a bit uneven, that he was bowling more arm balls to get that outside edge? He thought it wasn't turning, and he's not doing it here. But I find it strange as well. You think he'd have a natural sort of range of deliveries he wants to bowl. And I think even at the end there, we see him going very straight with the batsman's going right back and tucking around the corner for a single all the time. I'd like to see him get it more outside off stump.
Okay, let's talk a little more about Australia's ODI squad announcement, since that's just the news coming in, and some significant news that comes from that team. We'll put that up for you. But Nathan Lyon makes a return to the ODI setup. Peter Siddle is back in the ODI squad. He last played in ODI in 2010. So we'll just put that all out for you to have a look at. But Nathan Lyon, 15 ODIs in 7 years in international cricket, Damien, and Australia seem to go to him. I'm assuming whatever teams do now, from now till the World Cup, they're going to say that's at least part of our plan. Is Nathan Lyon part of Australia's World Cup plans?
So I think he's shown that he's top of his game in what he does, and he can be conservative. He can tie up runs. He can get wickets. So I don't mind that call. I mean, the Peter Siddle one I find strange at his age with the World Cup coming up. We should be trying other youngsters in the Shield comp. So I'm not sure I'd be going Peter Siddle way, but I like the selection of Lyon, definitely.
Are the coach and the captain involved in a squad selection like this? Damien, how does it work in Australia? Do the selectors pick the side and give it to the captain and the coach?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I think in the past, like with Ricky Ponting, he would have whether he was a select or not, he would definitely be part of a discussion and the coach. So whether officially how it works now with the selection panel, but I think there would be some discussion. I know Justin is involved, talking about what sort of side, and I think Tim Payne would. But you're right, with the World Cup coming up, you're trying to get your side getting ready and playing as a team. But some Lyon's good. Siddle, I'll just say I'm not sure still.
I mean, I like Lyon's selection. I've always wondered why there were not more opportunities in shorter format for him. I mean, guys struggle to get under him in Test cricket when there are no fielders in the outfield. It's a good selection.
Ajit, is so much about having mystery and wrist
or
spin
wrist
in the
spinners,
middle,
yeah.
and England's small
I mean,
grounds.
there's Yasir Shah's another one who never gets picked in Pakistan's one-day team or T20 teams, if I'm not wrong. So they're still quality bowlers. I mean, even though he's a finger spinner man, he's still got so much quality which the Indians have found it hard in Test cricket as well.
There is a reservation on finger spin with white ball cricket, and especially in England
because the grounds are very
Trophy.
small. The pitch is not going to turn that much. So I'm not sure it's an exciting selection, but good luck to him. Test match performances are getting recognized. India also recognizing test match performances to pick players for one day.
And the other thing is, do Australia have anyone better than him, or are they picking somebody just for the sake of being a wrist spinner?
The usual goes Adam Zampa in white ball cricket.
Spinner.
Ashton Agar is the finger spinner they use in 2020 cricket, but that's pretty much the extent of it. Two national selectors for Australia in Trevor Horns and Greg Chappell. The head coach Justin Langer also part of it, and I think the captain too participates in selection. But who the captain for the Australian World Cup team is, that's anybody's get. We'll have a look at that team, and I'll have Damien Martyn's views on it. And remember, everyone's trying to get their World Cup puzzle right. You need 15 on that plane to England in in about 3 or 4 months' time. You need to announce that even sooner. But I'm just looking at that. There's a return to Usman Khwaja to the ODI setup. Glenn Maxwell, Marcus Stoinis, Mitch Marsh, all white ball specialists. It's Alex Carey, of course, that keeps wicket in limited overs for Australia. Jai Richardson, Billy Stanley, Jason Behrendorff, the left-arm seamer, Peter Siddle, like I said, a return possibly to play an ODI after 8 years for the right-arm seamer. Nathan Lyon and Adam Zampa are the two spin options. Damien, off you go. Some interesting returns to that ODI setup.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the bowlers too, even for Test cricket. Jai Richardson and Billy Stanlake. I mean, there's quality pace. Billy Stanlake's like 8'7" or something, is he? I don't know how big he is. Bowling quick. So look, there's some talent there. I like, Maxwell's back. Hanscom is an interesting one as well. He's been put in. Lyon I like. It's just, I mean, to me, it's Siddle. I just think at his age, 37. I mean, unless they're finding a role in a sense of what's going on. But there is some good young talent there. They've mixed in as well. Khawaja at the top. So it's not bad. I mean, look, I think selecting any team, isn't it? There's always going to be, no exact 100% perfect that we will think as.
Yeah, David, we are talking about age 37 being sort of a liability or weakness, sure. But such guys are mostly old school thinking cricketers. So maybe the thought from the earlier era might work in today's cricket. You think?
As also
people thought on their feet a little more. Yeah, people thought on their feet a little more earlier, so maybe that's why I wanted to know who's involved in the selection. Maybe Langer's got something to do with Siddle's comeback?
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I mean, that changes all the time, the exact selection polls. I mean, Greg Chappell and Trevor Horns. I agree. They could want experience, saying Peter Siddle. definitely. That's their call as well. I'm not sure. He hasn't played for 7 years, 8 years,
Yes.
is it? 2010.
Does it look a champion team to you? Does it look like a team
we
that
must
may
make
go on
a
to win
point
the
that
World
their premier fast bowlers again will get a bit of a rest. So there's
they'll
that
all come
aspect.
back,
There's no
yeah.
Mitchell Stark. There's no
Cup? And
Pat
David Warner,
Cummins.
Steve Smith are not going to be finishing their thing.
No, they would be up
so
for
they'll all come back.
contention.
Oh, yeah.
So then there's that. So there are maybe not all. So that's not anywhere near perhaps the team that might go to England, because you don't have Mitchell Stark, you don't have Pat Cummins. You think Josh Hazlewood will also be part of the setup for England, but fair enough to give them a rest.
I mean, the one thing about that batting is, I mean, it looks dangerous on paper. A lot of them have done better in T20 cricket than in one-day cricket, or the consistency in one-day cricket that you need. So,
but to add Steve Smith and David Warner, if
yeah,
they're
I mean,
available
once
and
they are
pick
back, it looks a different lineup.
Okay, well, again, so it's about perspective, and these three ODIs may not necessarily reflect what Australia, the direction which Australia might go come the World Cup, and the return of Smith and Warner is now being spoken up eagerly in all parts of cricket, so keep an eye out on that. Let's take some more questions before we wrap things up on the lunchtime show. Questions coming from our Facebook Live, which I hope you keep putting in as India continue to assert their dominance in this test match. From Jiten, Mitch Stark was getting some reverse swing to punt. India seemed to be able to get the ball to reverse more effectively than Australia. Point Ajit has just made on the show too. Is that because of preservation of the ball or the skill of the Indian bowlers?
Yeah, I mean, you look after the ball well, you do. I suppose Indian bowlers, there was a little bit this morning when Stark punt played him well. I think there was Yorker bowled or full ball bowled at 150 kilometers where he hit him for 4 straight. Yeah, not sure why. Like I said, maybe Australia is a bit more conscious the way they treat the ball after what's happened.
Question: do tall bowlers seem a little less effective with the reverse swing as opposed to guys who have a
Who have a
lower
more
release
slingy,
point?
shorter, possibly, but
because when we talk about, tell me who your great reverse swing exponents were, and let's see whether.
Wasim was quite tall.
Yeah,
Wasim Akram was
correct.
tall, so it's
6'3",
I don't think that's necessarily.
Gone.
I mean,
Yeah,
Stark
yeah,
when it reverses and
but-
when he's on form
Yeah.
is probably one of the most dangerous bowlers. So,
But I see where you come from. Bumrah and Shami get it through more than say Nishan Sharma would be. But
Yeah,
Bumrah's
because-
not slingy. He's still
Yes,
high. I mean,
yes.
Bumrah.
No, because you're looking at a full length and a ball spearing in. Maybe low bounce pitches and all that works a little more.
Here's another lay question: was the Kookaburra ball easier or harder than some of the other balls to
It's
preserve?
obviously harder.
Harder.
It's obviously harder if the outfield's lush as well. It doesn't rough up that easily. The pitch, it's not really bare. There is a little bit of grass on it as well, so it's much harder. Obviously, it'll improve as the innings or the days go on. India might get the benefit of it a little bit more.
Swing these days, when you talk about reverse swing and becomes a talking point,
Yes.
it's been marginal.
Yeah.
Reverse swing has never been like a boomerang like we used to see earlier. It's just a little bit of swing
But it
and we get all excited.
It's interesting
about
because it changes the way a bowler bowls though. I saw a tweet from Shane Warne yesterday which said it's amazing how just one LBW by Australia's bowlers all series, and India I think have 7 or 8.
That's the only thing. I mean, where Sanjay's point maybe comes in a little bit. Someone like a Hazlewood, who's a naturally sort of good length bowler, sometimes finds it a little bit difficult to get that far forward, which is all you need. You don't need to bowl Yorkers because sometimes they are a lot easier to negotiate. But something which Pujara's usually had a problem, which pitches on good length and comes in. That sort of ball, sometimes a tall bowler finds it a bit
right.
difficult.
Let's see the Indian bowlers bowling on this pitch and we'll get a very good idea about the surface.
Sometimes the state of the game and series can also help, and India's bowlers
that is
would-
something that was lacking in Australia. The way they ran it didn't seem like the Australian team that is always at you. Ajit, you played against them. This team doesn't look like, at least the bowling didn't look.
They seem nice as well, no? They bowl a short ball and they're smiling.
Yeah,
they're
they
having
look
a
very elite, honest.
Too honest. Yeah, all right. Now, Damien can probably get his views on, but we also have a question for Damien. I don't know if he's seen Aussie bowlers that are this nice or kind. I don't think he likes it. Did Australia miss out on the slow ball or the Yorker yesterday today? We saw one false shot by Pujara in that session, Damien, and that was to a slower ball from Josh Hazlewood.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, on wickets like this, you have to change it up, whatever you can do. So I agree. Yes, more Yorkers, more slower deliveries, change of angle. I think we spoke before about Stark maybe coming around the wicket more. Even now, where he's just running in, and bowling the same way, going back and forth, maybe back and forth in the one over, changing up the angles, just doing stuff that they know the wicket's flat. Pujara's batting well. The Indians are batting well. You've got to then look at all options to see what you can do to either different field plans, weird ones, different deliveries, just trying to break it up and get a wicket.
I've been saying this for a long time. Come one day cricket, in the first over you see 3 slow balls. In Test match cricket, especially in a situation like this, not enough slow balls. If they pitch it right up, it's amazing that just one was bowled today by Hazelwood.
Sometimes when you're not playing well, you don't think clearly either. But that's where someone
Matthew
around
Hayden
you.
has a theory. He says the bowlers aren't very bright. What do you have to
Most
say?
batsmen have that theory, unfortunately.
All right. More questions coming your way, and I'm actually having a look at the Facebook live feed, and there seems to be a lot of questions regarding Hanuma Vihari's dismissal. Let's pick one out for Sanjay and the rest of the gang. Sanjay, Gurdeep Guri wants to know, what do you think about the DRS call? Should the benefit of doubt have gone to the batsman? I'm just going to add a few more. There's stuff on whether the on-field umpire should be able to overrule a finding by the third umpire because it didn't seem conclusive. There was no clear-cut edge is what the viewers are suggesting.
No, but the ultra edge actually decided it for Hanuma Vihari. Just as the ball was close to the edge of the bat, you saw a little movement.
The little
on
movement
the
was almost
ultra
hidden
edge,
from
and
that
becomes
bracket.
conclusive.
There used to be a time when the bat edge used to be a sharp spike, but I guess...
Yeah, that has stopped, and that's something that I've asked.
So I can
producers
understand
as
the
well.
confusion of the viewer.
Yeah, and we used to always differentiate between a harsh sound, which saw, a much sharper, thin spike. Now it's just a little murmur that you get on the graph, which I'm not a big fan of. But clearly there was difference in the graph. The moment the ball
it would be
was
unfair for the on-field umpire to overrule it. Once there is...
And he saw it quickly, isn't it? He immediately put his finger up. So he clearly heard the edge. It wasn't that dramatic on the ultra edge, but that was conclusive.
That's actually, I'm amazed how much of conversation the Vihari dismissal has triggered.
That's why I love
on
DRS
social
these
media.
days, because on a day when batsmen are dominating, DRS becomes a little bit of an excitement side.
Yeah, I can understand. It just gives everyone, it almost refreshes your interest as the game's going on. Some of you were going quite hard at us for not even talking about the DRS decision. So yes, we're doing that now. This from Bijay Bhushan. We are discussing the decision. The third umpire jumped the gun with this call, says Snehal. What else do we have? We've got quite a few people not happy.
They are all a little aggrieved because Hanuma Vihari was confident the moment he played. He asked for a review, so clearly he didn't feel.
And even Nathan Lyon almost sort of was halfway into his appeal before the decision was given. But the third umpire has gone by what he's seen, and there was a faint murmur on that thing, and that is what
I guess that is what they're asking, whether a faint murmur is conclusive evidence, or should we see a sharper spike?
I guess the umpires are, you can assume that the umpires are educated about what needs to be read off Snicko or Ultra Edge in order to make a finding. Tikram Prasad wants to know if the third umpire can be fined. Well, I don't think that
Can be fined.
Can be fined for a bad call. I don't think
There
we're going
is
that
a
line.
report, so their performance actually gets, they're accountable.
Yeah, let's not jump the gun. And 3 very good umpires in this game, in Richard Kettleborough, Ian Gould and Marai Erasmus as the third umpire. So let's give them a little bit more credit. And we have seen decisions that are clear-cut howlers. This perhaps doesn't fall in that category. Just pick out 1 or 2 more questions, and also we'll see how the Fab 4 ratings are. Sanjay can't wait to get there. Gunjan says, first of all, very refreshing to see a live show with genuine experts. Well, thank you very much, Gunjan Srivastav. Do you think Tim Payne has underutilized Labuschagne by giving him just 6 overs so far? I want Sanjay and Ajit to get
I
into
just
this.
want to know why you pronounce it Labuschagne and not like Harsha, who goes the South African.
Because I've seen a video of Manas Labuschagne himself say he prefers being called Manas Labuschagne, so I'm not one to
Thanks very much.
go
It
against.
makes our lives also
Yes,
easier.
although,
we follow you.
although
with
for what
you
it's
do.
worth, the Afrikaans pronunciation is Labuskagne. So if you are fluent in Afrikaans,
If he
which I am
prefers-
not,
he can do that as well. But
we've
he
just been complimented
chose
of a show with actual experts, so they could be experts in
if he prefers
pronouncing names.
Labuschagne, we'll stick to it.
I think we should. But let's go to
I
the
don't know
question.
about Tim Payne, but I think Pujara will be disappointed he's not bowled more.
Oh, that answers the question for you. But let me go to Damien. Manas Labuschagne, Damien, I really hope and I think we all really hope he's been picked more for his batting than for his bowling, because those 6 overs, I think as a batsman, you wouldn't mind Labuschagne bowling more like Ajit
even
says.
at this.
No, I think he's bowled too many. I think Tim Payne's got it right. I think Pujara will be on 300 by now. So yeah, he's definitely been picked more for his batting, we'll say.
Yeah, his bowling has been such that we could call him Manas Labuschagne.
who knows? You know, second day, maybe after lunch, he gets a spell, gets a few right. But
Ajit
at
is
the moment,
always-
at the moment, it's not looked that way.
We've
It
just
is
been
for players.
we've
It's
just
a very
been
good
praised by our viewers for being proper experts.
Oh, okay,
let's
then I
let's But there is a question for Sanjay, as there always is. Let's take one more, the last question. I'm so delighted these questions have been coming nice and early India time. Question to Sanjay from Srinivas Govindaraj: is Pujara's innings masking the performance of Vijay, Rahul and Rahane as well as Pant? None of them have reached 50 or more in this series.
Another
Cause of why-
excellent question. I mean, you don't need to answer it. It's absolutely right. There's an answer in the question.
Yeah, I mean, again, okay, someone has to get the runs, and it was Pujara's turn this time. So you don't say that if Pujara doesn't get the runs, India wouldn't have. Someone else might have. But
let's talk about
it's the
batting
reality.
worries, because
But
he's
it
so
is-
right, because
it is the
Pujara is
reality,
playing
yeah.
well. See, the worry for India now, fortunately good things happening at the top.
Yeah.
Prithvi Shaw and Mayank Agarwal.
Yes.
But Murli Vijay, KL, Rahul, Ajinkya Rahane are
And this
worry,
was an
yeah.
opportunity. Ajinkya Rahane got a brute of a ball. Let's on
Yeah,
this
this
occasion.
time, but he seems to be getting a lot of brutes of deliveries through the last couple of years. So he's clearly still a worry for Sanjay Bangar and the team management. Rishabh Pant, we don't know yet. There's
It's a big
something
innings now.
there.
This could be a good innings.
Yeah, there's something there about him where, you know, he seems like he might end up, you know, playing one blinding sort of great
I mean,
innings.
he got a good, 30, 40 in that Adelaide, threw
Yeah,
it away.
second inning.
Could have cost India the test match because Australia eventually lost only by, 31 runs. So, yeah, absolutely correct that question. They need to do a bit
But
more.
he's played differently today. He hasn't looked to loft Nathan Lyon, because Nathan Lyon has
Good
got
thing, because he's got a proper batsman in the other end. That's not happened through this
But
series.
it doesn't matter to Pant. No, he
Yeah.
just comes in and starts.
I think there was a
But clearly,
batsman
it's not the case. This innings has
Yeah,
shown
big
that he has
difference.
the other game too. Yeah, so growing in confidence. Rishabh Pant. Question from Omar Mumtaz actually is a good one. Instead of Labuschagne, why not Travis Head for a few overs, Damien? We've seen him bowl in here and there in limited overs cricket. He can't possibly be any worse than Manas Labuschagne. No disrespect to the Australian cricketer.
No, definitely. I think you'd try all the part-timers as well. We've seen that in the past as well. We call Michael Clark a part-timer, don't we? So he got tons of wickets at the SCG.
Did you
I'll
ever
try
have
anybody.
occasion? I know you
I
used to
think
bowl a little bit. I know.
Oh, yeah,
I know
yeah.
you used to
Because-
bowl a little bit, Damien. Did you ever have occasion to bowl when the opposition was?
And
what,
it looks stylish
400
doing
for
that
four?
as well. Everything about Damien was
Yeah,
stylish.
so run in, quick,
I've only
quick
got
arm
a couple of
action.
test wickets. That's all. Don't worry about it. Don't come.
Want to name the batsman that he got?
No, it's all on YouTube, okay? 12 views, all from me and my mum.
Very well. Now, it's been all good and fun, and our chat has been enriched by your questions. So many thanks to all of you sending them on our Facebook Live as well as YouTube Live. And keep those coming. We will pick them up as this test match goes on. And you think Pujara will still be batting around afternoon tomorrow. So we have plenty of time to take more of your questions. Let's have a look at how the Fab 4 game between Ajit, Sanjay and Damien Martyn has been going. This is, of course, our Fab 4 game where each of our experts picks 4 players for each day of the test. Depending on how the player performs on that day, they get some points like a fantasy system. Let's have a look at our first set of points for Sanjay Manjrekar, and it'll be very pleasing. He ended day 1 on top, and he's already made a strong case to continue. 61 points for Cheteshwar Pujara. He's got 50 today, which gives him another 10 bonus points, and then 20 points for Nathan Lyon. I don't think you need to say anything also.
It's not the early morning start, it's just the yawning gap between me and the other experts.
I tell you, Sanjay, Liverpool also were like this, very confident about their position at the top
I'm
of the
doing
table.
all this, so there will come a time when they'll get an opportunity,
yes.
and I love that.
And we know now, if you're following the Premier League, and you can check that on ESPN.in, the ESPN mobile app, that it's been a tight game, and the top of the table gap is much closer.
All the Liverpool fans are leaving us, man.
They are. Liverpool fans shouldn't be watching if they were up till 3 a.m.
Cricket show, guys.
Cricket show. Yes. Let's have a look at the second set of points. Rishabh Pant has got Ajit 27 points and is still not out. Nathan Lyon's picked up 20, but Nathan Lyon everybody picks, so that just cancels you out. You'd be hoping for a swashbuckling, quick fire 60, 70.
Yeah, and then Bumrah comes and gets a 6 for today.
Not to mention maybe someone like Nathan Lyon was the only one you picked. You still picked Pat Cummins, who's gone wicketless this game, but I think your time
I'll
is
pick
good.
Kuldeep Yadav tomorrow.
Tomorrow you'll pick Kuldeep Yadav. Very well. Damien Martyn's Fab 4. Let's have a quick look at. Well, he's still invested in poor Mitchell Stark. Sean Marsh, you think, should get a bat sometime today, but the way things are going, Damien, he may not have time to get too many. If you were to revisit any of those picks, would you right now?
I'm just going to talk to my mum. That research is not going well for her. Okay, I need to change it up tomorrow. I'm thinking a big third day tomorrow for me.
You've shown an Indian trade, Damien, in the selection. Lots of emotions involved there with Sean Marsh. being selected.
And we've seen some
Well, he's been
beginners
great all
luck here.
series.
All right, let's have a look at the leaderboard. Glance your eyes on the strong difference between 1 and 2. My goodness.
Yeah, this is like
Nearly-
Pujara and the rest of the Indian batters.
It's more than twice the difference. Ajit Agarkar 160, Sanjay 330, Damien Martyn still looking for 3 figures. Damien, thank you very much. Let's hope it's a better session for you at T. Ajit, Sanjay, always a pleasure. Get your thoughts as this test match goes on. Cheteshwar Pujara eyeing what could be not just a 4th double hundred in test cricket, but also his highest score. So keep an eye out on how many India's number 3 gets in what's already been a summer and a season entirely for him. Download the ESPN Cricinfo mobile app for ball by ball updates. We'll see you again at tea time on ESPN Cricinfo Matchday, presented by Maruti Suzuki.